and just other women who are in similar situations, whether they're postnatal, prenatal, have older kids like me, or just older women in general.
Fantastic.
Whoever wants to do the workouts.
Yeah, we've got a Facebook group that's been catching fire lately. I've really enjoyed meeting lots of women there and seeing everybody working out at home, sharing their pictures and videos and stuff. And they do have some questions for you, which is why we're here today. I've taken their questions and we're going to bring them to Dr. Jill, but nobody actually asked about mental health, and we thought we would start with that because women, whether you're prenatal or postnatal, or women just all over the world, where our circumstances have been rocked with COVID-19, haven't they? And a lot of us, when we're in the prenatal period or postnatal period especially, you can feel isolated at home, but a lot of people are feeling isolated at home right now, aren't they?
Yeah, well, in a way, it's kind of everyone's getting a taste of what it's like to be a new mom at home, because not everybody goes through that journey. But when you're in a quite isolated bubble when you just have a baby, 6 weeks, you're really at home, you're just learning how to nurse or feed your baby, maybe deal with other older children, you're just trying to deal with no sleep, and you're really quite stuck at home, and it can be very isolating. But many other people are going through exactly the same thing without a new baby. They might have lost their job, they might be just stuck in isolation, stuck in quarantine. So it's really hard on all of us. The mental health of a lot of people has been affected across the world by COVID, by what we're all going through. And I think it's really important to make sure that if you're struggling, to take part in something like exercise. Exercise in general has been proven to help our mental health, whether you're the average person who's not feeling so great at home, or whether you're a postnatal mom, or whether you're pregnant, or whatever your circumstance is. And certainly going through a program like Anna's, where you can do it with support in an environment that's safe, it really helps boost your mood.
Yeah, it's not just for the body, it's for your brain, y'all. It's for the brain too, right?
For the brain and body.
For sure. Okay, so our first question is what to do about, well, they aren't calling it DOMS, which is what we like to call it in the fitness community, but delayed onset muscle soreness. So a lot of the women who are coming into my 6-week challenge right now, they're either returning to exercise after they've had their children or one baby, or it could be children plural because they haven't had any time for themselves and it's been a long time since they've sort of been in the normal routine, and even just body weight exercises can make you feel sore. So what do you do about DOMS, delayed onset muscle soreness?
Well, there's not really any evidence that we can do anything once we have
No! Why are you telling us that?
So it certainly might feel nice to have a massage, or
Yes.
to stretch a bit, or if you're really in pain, take some analgesia, like simple analgesia over the counter, and all that might help. But the reality is it's prevention. Prevention is key. So delayed onset muscle soreness is not an abnormal thing. It's a normal sort of thing that happens after we do a more excessive exercise or a new exercise that we're not used to. And once you've had a baby, obviously every exercise is new because you haven't really been doing very much exercise.
And we're getting used to our new body. Our
Right.
whole center of gravity changes when we're pregnant, doesn't it, with our big growing belly?
Yeah, absolutely. And delayed onset muscle soreness is actually little small micro tears in the muscle fibers. And it's damage, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. And the problem is it causes pain and inflammation, and that's why. And it tends to be worse 24 to 48 hours. That's why they call it delayed.
My phone was just ringing. I didn't even know that was possible.
So the key is to just start slow and light and supervised. Again, doing a program like yours is very helpful for prevention.
Right. But it is, just try to think of it in a good way, that it's actually tearing your muscles down so that they can then be rebuilt and get those biceps going, or any muscles really, not just your biceps, of course. But they're rebuilt in the kitchen too. So we will be talking a little bit about nutrition. And our first week of our nutrition challenge for Strong Sexy Mamas is pretty basic, and it's just trying to get 2-3 liters of water a day. But for a lot of women, that's hard.
Yes.
How important is water for our recovery?
Well, in general, you need water just to function. So every single body function uses water, uses fluid to be able to work properly, and whether you're exercising or not. Those requirements go up if you're breastfeeding or pregnant, certainly breastfeeding a lot more, and then they go up again if you exercise.
Yes.
So you got to remember that fluids are really, really important.
And one of my mamas wanted to know if herbal teas count for water consumption. So I love my raspberry tea and my peach tea. Are those okay? Do those count for water consumption?
Look, let's not be too pedantic. Fluid is fluid, and even coffee and teas, etc., can be counted as fluids. There are certainly grades of fluids and how good fluids are, etc. I
What
think
about the caffeine in the coffee and the tea, though, being a diuretic? Is there? I know that used to be something everybody talked about, and they're talking less about that now, aren't they?
They are. And look, there is not great evidence that coffee and tea is diuretic. There is a little bit of diuretic action, but I think the importance is, so that's why if you're talking about fluids, any fluid counts. But there's certainly fluids that are better for us than others.
Like, so what about a lemon ginger tea? I've been living off of those.
Exactly.
Lately.
So things like water. So water by far, hands down, is the best fluid out there. Okay. If we want to go to the next step, something like an herbal tea, that's fine. There's nothing in it that's going to prevent you from absorbing fluid and prevent making breast milk and doing all your bodily functions. When we start getting into a bit grayer territories, if you're adding sugar, salt, fats, etc., into our drinks, and then they become a bit less healthy.
100%. Yeah, and then we can end up drinking all of our calories for the day, unfortunately, too. We had lots of questions about breastfeeding, and I'll pitch some of those up to a nutritionist who's also a Strong Sexy Mama's participant. But quickly, the impact of fitness on breastfeeding is something I get asked about a lot as a women's fitness professional. In fact, my advice to women is to make sure you have a nice supportive bra, but make sure that it's not too tight because you risk blocked milk ducts and mastitis and things like that. It's a good idea to nurse or pump before you work out. A lot of that's just for comfort. And then you can do exercises on your belly. In Strong Sexy Mamas, I do show you alternatives to exercises on your belly. This, of course, is for the prenatal women who can't be on their belly, or women who have had a cesarean, and that seems to still be a little bit sensitive there. But sore boobies can be part of it too. And then the myth that I want you to bust today is about breastfeeding and milk supply.
Yeah, look, I think let's first of all just normalize it. Breastfeeding is normal. Exercise is normal. So the two together, normal. So we shouldn't have any issues. Yeah. The key is, of course, you don't want to do anything too extreme. And so if you're going to go and run a marathon, then you're going to have issues with your breast milk supply. But we're not supposed to be doing that when we just have a baby anyway. Right. And so I think the key is when you're starting, whether you're doing a routine, exercise routine when you're pregnant or when you're breastfeeding particularly, you need to make sure to maintain your fluids. That's the main thing.
Yes.
So if you exercise in a hot environment or you're sweating a lot or you just do a lot of exercise, you need to be drinking water. So I think that's the main thing. I mean, if you don't drink enough water, then you're not going to produce breast milk because you're dehydrated. That's the main danger.
Yes.
There's some myths out there about lactic acid. I was doing some research, and really there is no evidence that lactic acid, even if we have a little bit of buildup in the milk, that should cause any damage or problem to the baby. So I think the key is let's normalize exercise, let's normalize breastfeeding. It's fine to breastfeed and exercise, and in fact it's encouraged for your body and your brain, and the key is maintaining hydration.
And then how about fitness and fertility? And this is a complex issue, and so it's something that you ought to talk to your medical care provider about. But can exercising be good for fertility?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, it's a very, very complex question. And I think the key is that the better shape that you are in, if you're trying to have a baby, is always helpful. If you have medical issues, which complicate that further, and that may be things like being overweight or underweight, then you may have, and that might impair your fertility in the sense of changing your cycles, losing your periods.
You might not get your cycle if you're too thin.
Exactly. And so I think that if you have those kind of issues, you should talk to your doctor. The other thing that affects your fertility is age, and that's actually in fact the number one factor that affects fertility. And so
that's so hard for us to hear as career women, though, because we want to have it all, right? We want to have our career, and we want to have our babies after, and it can be a lot harder, which is one of the reasons IVF has become
such a big thing.
Yes, and it's given us a lot of freedom in a lot of senses, but it's unfortunate we can't fight biology in a lot of ways either.
No, you can't do anything. So exercise doesn't fix age. I would love to say it does, but it doesn't. So that number grows no matter what. And so if you're having trouble falling pregnant because of your age, really all you need to do is talk to your doctor. Or if you have a medical issue such as being overweight or underweight, that's something worth talking to your doctor about as well. But in general, being healthy and working out and doing exercise puts you in the best shape you can, and that certainly can help your fertility.
And your headspace,
and
too.
your headspace.
Brooksy, do you want Dr. Jill to hold you?
Yeah,
you're very excited.
Mommy,
How about you hold
the baby?
Hold the baby.
Hello, sweetie. Hey.
So Annabelle is 8
Hello,
weeks tomorrow.
sweetie.
Hi, buddy. Okay, here we go. So let's talk about one more thing that is a taboo topic and we don't like to talk about as ladies, but that's hemorrhoids when you're pregnant and in the postnatal period, if you have pushed out a baby. So guys, you can just turn this off. Not that guys don't get hemorrhoids too, but what do we do about them, and is there any way to prevent them?
So actually hemorrhoids are a natural part of your anal canal. They're the natural cushions, and what they do is prevent a hard poo from scratching our anus on the way out. You know, nobody likes to talk about that, but that's what it's for. Certainly when we are pregnant or overweight and you have a lot of extra pressure on your venous return, so that's the blood returning to the heart. When you have a bigger belly, certainly in the second and third trimester, it tends to be worse. You can get swelling or of those veins. So hemorrhoids are actually veins, and they can hang out and become really painful. And so the key is to prevent that. The only thing you can do is, so actually I should say, in addition to that, constipation.
Yeah, try to eat lots of fiber, drink lots of water, and when I was in the hospital both times, they gave me stool softeners too to help you with that first poop, because it's really kind of a scary thing after you push out it. Or
it is.
like,
So,
however you've delivered your baby, it's a hard thing to do.
So in fact, just because you have a baby vaginally doesn't mean that's the only way to get hemorrhoids. You can get it with C-section as well.
Yeah.
So it's the being pregnant part that puts the pressure. And then, of course, the constipation that comes with very frequently in pregnancy and then after when you're breastfeeding. So as you said, prevention is key. Here we're back to prevention again.
Yes.
Drinking lots of water, increasing your fiber intake with fruits and veg, doing regular exercise helps also our bowels work better. And then if you need to get a little bit of extra help by taking a laxative, of course under the supervision of a professional, medical professional, that's a good idea.
Yeah, also,
But they're common.
have you tried a squatty potty?
Yeah.
You'd never heard of the squatty potty, but what do you tell people if they are having issues?
Yeah, look, in fact, our westernized toilets are not ideal position to be pooping in. So the old-fashioned squat down is probably the best. Now that probably doesn't work as well in our bathrooms, so the idea is that if you put your feet up on a little stool or get something like a squatty potty to help you be in that position where your knees are a bit higher than your bottom, it does help the passage of stool a little easier.
Yes. Okay, well, I think my children need to go, but can we just do one more thing? We'll talk about, you know what, why don't we save sleep for another day? Because I think this one needs some sleep, but that's what I was going to ask you about. So we'll save that, and I got so many great questions from mommies in my, I guess I can call it my mommy group.
Yeah.
My Strong Sexy Mamas. There are some women in the group that are not moms either. These workouts are great for women in all stages of these, 20s, 30s, 40s. My mom's even involved. She's calling herself the Strong Sexy Grandma.
Excellent.
But thank you for coming on my IGTV. And ladies, if you are watching from the Mommy Group, the Strong Sexy Mamas private Facebook group for this 6-week challenge, it will be up in your free women's fitness guide that's already in your library. Okay, ladies, so we will talk to you soon, and thanks for stopping by. Thank you.
Keep the questions coming.
Yeah, keep them coming. Oh, and find her at drjillgamberg.com. You want to let Annabelle have one more little cameo?
Hello, everybody.
You want to say bye-bye, everybody?
Hello. Bye.
Bye-bye, it's nap time.
Bye.
See ya. Bye, thanks, Jill.
I think Strong Sexy Mamas has a great philosophy and a really strong message behind it. It's about confidence. Having a baby really takes its toll on, you mentally, socially, physically, and I think having a group of like-minded mums working out with you is really good at helping rebuild all of that.
I love that Strong Sexy Mamas comes online and it's those short 15 minutes, 20 minutes. And I have 2 toddlers, a 1 and 2-year-old, and there is no way I can get to any of those mums and bubs classes anymore. 15 minutes, I can totally squeeze into my day. I can let them run amok, let chaos happen, and they even get involved, get in the way, and then, 15 minutes I'm done. And I'm back cleaning up after them.
Feeling good, feeling strong, I'm feeling fit, I'm feeling energized, and yeah, classes with Anna have been awesome, keeping me on track through my pregnancy, and I feel as good as I've ever felt.
Getting out of bed in the morning to actually go and do some exercise has probably kept me sane. You know, having a baby who doesn't sleep and is not on solids at the moment, who's breastfeeding, you know, it does take its toll. So getting out and being able to be active and obviously joining, you know, an amazing community of girls, it's really empowering.
I like working out with Anna and Strong Sexy Mamas because I struggle to motivate myself at home just with having a 14-month-old baby, and I've had a few injuries, and you know, these exercises in particular go at different levels, so I can do the kind of lower exercises as opposed to all the jumping and things like that, and it's helped me to get back motivated again.
I love Strong Sexy Mamas because it's so important to do exercise in a safe and controlled way after having a baby. It takes such a toll on your body, and Anna is amazing at giving options. It's a long recovery, and she's been amazing at helping me progress through different movements as we're going on our postnatal journey.
Amazing class. I love Anna's class. It's so much energy, and it's in such a beautiful setting at Bondi Beach. You can't get better than this. You will feel sexy and strong after the class. It's great, brilliant.
I also have a 2-year-old, so it's really hard to fit in workouts and find the time, especially getting down to a group class. So working out from home has just been so great. I can fit it in whenever works, and you don't